Hey everybody, welcome back. Welcome back to Generation X Nation. As always, thank you to any of my new subscribers, to anybody who watched one of my videos. I do appreciate it. It does not go unnoticed. You leave me a comment, I love to reply back. Leave a comment, leave a comment, leave a comment. Share, tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. Now, with that being said, you've seen the thumbnail. I'm going to do a real quick recap of Real Housewives of Potomac. It's going to be a little hard for me because of this whole thing that's been going on with Wendy that I seen all out here in these internet streets. I heard about it last Friday when the news broke or whatever. I did a quick short video on it, and I may get a little bit into it at the end of this particular review. I don't want to dig too hard on Wendy because things are still coming out and everybody has reported on it. So I don't want to just oversaturate with Wendy, but I will give my take on what I think, whatever my commentary is and what I think should happen or shouldn't happen as far as Wendy's fate on the show. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and start my commentary. As always, everything I said is alleged, in my opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. Alleged, in my opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. I had to watch the show twice to kind of get some juice out of it because honestly, we're still talking about the same thing. Is Stacey married, not married? Is Stacey lying? Stacey breath stink. Okay. Kiara and Wendy still going at it about who's a good friend or not a good friend. I'm kind of over all that. That's why I want to make it real quick. So we're going to start off where they finishing up the second bloom ball. Stacey and Ashley are still going back and forth. Ashley is still accusing Stacey of lying. Stacey is basically, she tired of it. She's like, hey, I'm just confused. Why y'all keep bothering me? She's telling Ashley, you a hot mess. I got to, sometimes I have to lift up my glasses to see because I don't have my bifocals on. So don't mind my lift up my glasses. Then they start questioning Stacey about why does she have her ring on? And Stacey says, well, me and my ex-husband, are trying to talk or get things together. And then they go to the confessionals and Ashley's like, what? Are you married or not married? Did you use this for a storyline? And Giselle like, I'm confused. You get divorced. Are you really divorced from this guy? Now y'all back together. So essentially, they're trying to say that Stacey just used TJ as a storyline. She remained married with her husband. I guess he knew somewhere in the background this was going to happen. And that got her onto the show. Now she no longer needs TJ. She don't want to pay TJ. And now she's back with her husband that she technically did not divorce because according to the documents, they don't see a divorce on file, which makes sense. It's a lot, but it kind of makes sense if that's the case, allegedly. Again, everything on my page is allegedly. So after they go back and forth with that conversation, they decide Stacey's lying. Let's move on. They sit down on the couch, and now Kiara and Wendy's going at it. Kiara's like, "Hey, you seen me at the NAACP award and that other thing they did in Hollywood, and you did not speak." And Wendy is kind of confused at this moment. Like, I'm confused. How do you expect me to act when we met up with each other? Kiara's like, hey, I called you ahead of time, told you what was going on, and I would be there. You was very dismissive. Then you said your kids was sick. You may not show up, and then you showed up. And I get it, because Stacey probably was like, hey, I'm glad you're here. You made it. Y'all could have hugged it out. Hey, happy to see you, whatever. How's the kids? Are they okay? That should have been a conversation when Wendy met up with Kiara. But apparently Wendy just kind of blew her off like, hey, who did your makeup? And everybody know that shade. You're at this elegant guy gala, whatever event it was, NAACP award, whatever. You got all of these celebrities, all these people who run charities and companies and corporations, doctors and lawyers, and all these people who are part of the Black experience in the Black community, you know. And for you to say who did your makeup, knowing everybody in there is probably getting their makeup done professionally, was a dig. If you didn't like her makeup, Wendy, as the old folks say, it's better to say, keep your mouth shut and say nothing than to open it up. So you should just said nothing at all. Sometimes not saying nothing is good. You could have said, "Oh, your hair looks good," or "I love that gown," and not even mention the makeup. You could have gave her a slight compliment without saying, "I don't like your makeup." So I get what Kiara's saying, even though I think Kiara's pushing Wendy and trying to use her as a storyline. I do get what Kiara's saying. And Wendy, that was really, really shady for you to ask her, who did your makeup when you first meet her instead of just saying, "Hey girl, I made it. I'm so happy to see you." That's what you should have said, Wendy. Should have gave her a freaking hug. Kiara, you should have said, "How's the kids?" and left and kept it pushing. However, Kiara's friend does tell Wendy, I think it's Angel, says to Kiara, maybe it's a miscommunication. Did you ask her how the kids was doing? And Kiara felt some kind of way about it. So in my opinion, she was exactly right. It was a miscommunication on both parts, Wendy and Kiara. But let's move on. So by the time I had to change my glasses, I needed to get my bifocals. So by the time the conversation ended at the Bloom Fest or whatever, Ashley's rebirthing party, Stacy decided to let everybody else know that she was part Nigerian because Wendy and Tia was both saying they Nigerian. And of course, Tia said her father was a prince, and Wendy went on to speak about her family. Then Stacy said, "I'm glad my mom told me that I'm part Nigerian." Stacy, the lies just keep piling up. So the next thing, Stacy goes to Wendy's house. They're sitting down having some lunch. Wendy is trying to figure out what's going on with Stacy. By the way, I like that black and white suit Wendy had on and them shoes. I mean, them shoes a little high for me. You know, I'm a woman of a particular age, but Wendy did look good in that suit. I'll give her that. So they're sitting there talking, and she's telling Wendy what happened on at the boutique when her and Ashley were talking. Ashley met up with her, and of course, Ashley's still drilling her about her husband, about TJ, about the receipts and all of that. And Wendy asked her, "Did she see the receipts? Does she have anything?" And Ashley said, "I don't know what she has." I mean, Stacy said, "I don't know what Ashley has." So that was just kind of a boring thing. They were going back and forth, and then Wendy confronted her about the weed business. So I get it. Wendy is like, "Look, me and Eddie was doing our thing, having a weed business. You went to somebody, they came back and basically let people know that you wanted to start a business. You started inquiring about it." Now, it's hard for me to watch these scenes knowing what Wendy and Eddie just went through. So I'm trying to do it unjudgmental right now. But at the end of this critique, I am going to say what I want to say about Wendy and Eddie. So just hang on, listen through, because I'm trying to get through this crap. Now, once again, in my opinion, Ashley nosy ass ain't got no business drilling somebody. I cannot for the life of me understand why Ashley is so freaking nosy and gets away with it. The way she drills Stacy, but will not allow nobody to drill her when she was going through her divorce with Michael. And remember, now I'm gonna go off track a little bit. Remember, there were scenes back in the day where Michael left the show because he was doing things inappropriate to people on the show. You know, getting drunk and getting a little too close, a little too flirtatious, allegedly touching people inappropriately. And when they was asking her about all of this stuff, Ashley wouldn't say nothing. Wouldn't say nothing. Then when they asked her about a divorce, oh, it's in the course, the lawyer's handling it. So for you to have the balls and the gumption and the mitigated gall to be drilling Stacy, that's what I can't comprehend. I cannot comprehend. If that ain't hypocrisy and the lack of self awareness, again, I talk about self awareness because reality TV, nobody's, they're not very self aware. Most people are just focused on their self, their storyline, and don't give a shit about nobody else or what position they put them in. So that's why I have an issue with Ashley drilling Stacy. I have an issue with Stacy lying because we all know Stacy's lying because all of a sudden she's back with her husband. So I think TJ was a storyline and pay him his money. Give me my money, as they say. Give him his money, Stacy, because you know that's what it was. But Ashley, you have for you to be the one drilling her is just beyond belief to me. But let's move on. And then after that, they go over to Miss Tia house, Miss Prim and Proper. And she continues to remind us that she comes from royalty. Her father's a Nigerian prince. I grew up rich. I had maids. I had servants. I had butlers. And I never had to lift a finger in my life. So now that I'm married with twins and another child, I think there's three of them in the house, and a husband, I'll let him do the errands and I'll sit around and be prim and proper. Okay, Tia, we get it. You grew up in a rich royal quote unquote Nigerian prince family. Moving on. Ashley is getting ready for her date with Josh. So she called Josh back. I think Josh is just her play toy. You know, he kind of wets her whistle whenever she needs him, but not the type of person she marries. Because when she showed her previous two boyfriends or guys she was dating, the one from that show she was on, Hotel of Love, whatever, and Michael, her ex-husband, Ashley has a type, and they seem to be old, rich white guys. Let's keep it a buck. If you ain't old and rich, Ashley ain't got nothing to do with you. Ashley likes security and money, and she'll sacrifice the other as long as you giving her money and providing security for her. So Josh is a little play toy. And then she's like, Josh is not usually my type. I'm looking at Josh and looking at your type and saying, maybe you should change up because Josh is cute to me. He's a nice looking guy. But she's like, oh, now she's trying to fix him. You need to have some white sheets. Put a little less gel in your hair. As she goes somewhere. If you want an old white man, just go find one. You can go to sugarmamas.com or sugardaddiesbabies or daddies.com and find your rich old white man. Leave that young boy alone because basically he's nothing more to me than a boy toy for Ashley. Just my opinion. Moving on to the next thing. All right, so then they move over to, I think, Angel and her husband, who's a retired football player. Don't know the lady, allegedly. Um, what I'm going to say is alleged. It's just my opinion. So she's talking about they're renting a home in Maryland because that's where the family is, and they're trying to find them a home there. They have a home in Colorado that they spent over $2 million on, has a lots of land and all of that. Now, he's been retired from football for 3 years, according to her. I do remember the first episode, she said they had some kind of business in Colorado. I'm just going to say this. We all know the status of most athletes when they retire out of the game, especially if they're not well known and have a lot of endorsements and doing commentary and analysts and things like that. Um, it can take a toll on their finances. Again, just my opinion. So the need to have a $2 million Colorado home still on your books, but you want to move back to Maryland and find another home there for you and your family. And again, if you in Maryland and live in the status she's going to live, she's going to spend a few $1 million on that home. So you're maintaining two homes. It's going to be probably $1 million+ now, I don't know how much income he getting on these hiking trail type company he got out there in Colorado. I'm not quite sure what she does here, but this is how people overextend themselves and end up like Wendy and Eddie, trying to scam money or end up with tax issues like Shamia and them down there living in a whole fortress. Okay. If you're not going to live in Colorado again full time, sell the house, take that money and buy you a house, use that to buy the house here and just maybe get a nice condo or townhome so you are when you go to Colorado to visit, you have a place to stay. Why keep a $2 million house with all these acres if you're not going to live there? Doesn't make sense to me. Or just buy you a nice size home or condo while you're in Maryland if you plan on living in Colorado most of the time. But to have $1 million homes on both sides of the United States and paying property taxes and the maintenance of those homes is how you will drain your funds. Unless he's making 20, $30 million a year off of this ski trail mountain thing, that business they got in Colorado, financially doesn't make sense to me. I'm not an accountant. But 1+1 = 2, and we have seen plenty of housewives and reality TV stars have a lifestyle, and then that lifestyle disappears. Just my opinion. Moving on to the next scene. So then we get over to, I think it's Kay and Giselle. Giselle goes over to Kay's condo, I guess apartment, the one she shares with Greg. She let us know that her and Greg are still together. They're sitting down having some lunch, and I was just like, why is a chef there? This is what I'm talking about. Like, I know you're a housewife and you're trying to make this lifestyle look gorgeous, but do you need a chef at this point just to make a salad for you and when I mean and Giselle? I didn't understand that, but that's how you want to spend your money. I ain't counting your coins. She sits down and go over this BS again with Giselle about the discussion with Wendy at her shop. She had an event, and again, and maybe I just started to be too critical. Why is everything an event? The girls show up to your shop to have some Botox. Let's just keep it a buck. That's not an event. They came there. You may have gave them to them free. Y'all can't showed up there. You had some wine or some mimosas, got a couple of shots. That's it. That's not an event. Okay. But anyway, they showed up there. She gave him some free injections. She didn't like the fact that her friend Angel was kind of defending Wendy and told Giselle she had to chin check Angel. Don't know why she said that because you know Giselle is going to go back and repeat it. But let's move on. All right. So the next scene is they're all going to Angel's tranquility type luncheon or whatever. And all the ladies are sitting around talking. They just getting in there. They're drinking and talking. And Giselle clocks in as usual. They start talking. The first thing Giselle says is, where are you at with Wendy, Kay? And then Wendy's like, hey, I'm good. I ain't got no issues with her. You know, Wendy and her little uh her little sarcasm, whatever. And I'm starting to get what people say about Wendy. She do be a little bougie sometimes. And then Kay is like, it's all good. And then she asks Angel something similar. And then she told Angel, according to Kay, you got chin check. And that starts a whole commotion. Kay runs over there and say, hey, this is my friend. I don't chin check her. And Giselle said, yes, you did. You said you got chin check. And of course, the lady from Tia, from Britain, is like, what is this chin check thing? What is this chin check thing? She just too bougie for me. I don't know. Maybe she never heard the word before. I'm sure they use that in Britain, in London, or wherever she's from. However, Kay said she didn't do it. They rolled the footage back. Kay, you know you said chin check. And as soon as you said it, Giselle looked. So you should know Giselle was going to say something. Now, that should be a clue for y'all to watch whatever you say to Giselle and Ashley. I'm not understanding why y'all keep telling these people anything. Giselle and Ashley going to bring it back up. They are clocked in. They are bringing the storylines to keep the heat off of them. If you notice, nobody's asking Ashley much about her life or Giselle. But Giselle and Ashley is in everybody's lives. Just take note. That's all I'm saying. So after that, everybody go out. They do the little soundboard thing that you do where they make the sound and they meditate and be quiet. Once again, Bougie Wendy was like, hey, I got 2 minutes. Y'all gonna get this over with. At the end of that tranquility exercise, they decided to Angel says at the end they make a fire and they throw things in the fire that they want to get rid of or no longer deal with or get off of their chest, whatever the case may be. Um First, I forget her name, Miss Tia, the I don't know. She just bougie to me. The one that's a Nigerian prince's daughter. She was like, "Oh, I just want to thank the holistic lady." That was really rude for somebody who claims she comes from all this prim and proper. You don't call her holistic lady. You could have called her Miss Lady or Ma'am. What is your name? Okay, Miss Nicole, Miss Brown, whatever. You just called her the holistic lady. I thought that was rude. So you to be so prim and proper and say that was kind of rude to me. Um, Stacy wanted a fresh. Well, let me back up. Kay said she wanted to thank Angel for showing her what true friendship is. To me, that was a dig toward Wendy because she's been complaining about Wendy and this friendship the whole time. And then, of course, I guess the other women said, thank you for this and thank you for that. And then at the end, Stacy decided, to have a conversation. She said she had been praying about it and she wanted to just hopefully everybody would start off new and start over fresh. So she wanted to do a fresh breath exercise where you do the lion's roar. Of course, everybody looked because we know Stacey's breath has been the butt of the jokes this season. And Giselle said something like, do y'all got a min or whatever? But at the end, they all did it and it seemed like they enjoyed themselves and Stacey's breath didn't bother them that much. And then after that, they moved to the living room to sit down. And Stacey once again explaining away her divorce. She showed Ashley a I guess a thing on her phone, some documentation showing a file for divorce. Everybody looked at it, and then of course Giselle said, "Oh, that's not nothing. That don't prove anything. I'm done with this conversation. Let's go." Once again, I don't know why Stacy needs to prove anything to Ashley and Giselle. I'm sorry, my hair is hitting the back of inside of my shirt and it makes it itch. But I don't know why they need to prove anything to Giselle and Ashley. Stacy, just stop. Now, the document Stacy showed is not really a divorce document. We know that. That's why divorce is not on file. That is normally the paper that you file. If you say, hey, I'm getting a divorce, I'm tired of you, and you go downtown and you file the paperwork, and you don't go through with the divorce, that's what's on file. It's notifying the court that you filed for divorce, but you didn't actually hire a lawyer and go through the rest of the process. So that would be that would disappear after so many days if you don't take any action on it. However, and I believe that's why the divorce is not in the divorce docket where Ashley put her name up. You can't find Stacey's because they probably filed the paperwork and didn't go through with it. So I am in agreement with Giselle and Ashley. I don't think she ever got divorced. I think they filed the paperwork. And once they did the financial audit and found out how much money her husband was worth, and he realized that she hired a lawyer and wasn't going to go off of what he say and how much he would have to pay her for child support or alimony and half or whatever, he pulled back. That is my belief, allegedly, in my opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. Stacey husband came running back because, as they say, it's cheaper to keep her, and Stacey is willing to stay in that marriage because she loves that man, and she's going to take whatever he dishes out at her. Because one thing about men, when they have a woman that they know they can get away with stuff with, they will do that. He know exactly what buttons to push. He know how to get back in her good graces, and he know and he's confident that Stacey's not going anywhere. And men like that will continue to do what they do because they know exactly how to get you back. All right. So Stacey's not going anywhere, at least not for now. Now, with that being said, everybody left and went on about their way, and they started showing us things from next week. So that's kind of how it ended. It was basically a show about Wendy and Kier still fighting about the friendship thing, whether she spoke to her, didn't speak to her, talked about her makeup, whatever. Who cares? And then it was another show about Stacey, her divorce, if she divorced legally or not, if she's back with her husband. Why do y'all care if Stacey's back with her husband? It's her ex-husband. It's her baby daddy. If she want to stay with that man, that is her business. Okay. Now, my critique right now is really on the Ashley and the Giselle thing. Because if y'all notice in these episodes, and it's just two, so I don't know how deep we going. In these two episodes, Ashley and Giselle are checked in, they clocked in, as they say. They are in everybody's business, but ain't nobody asking me anything about their business. I need y'all to start flipping the script, start asking Giselle, what are you doing now that your daughters are in college? Are you dating anybody? Oh, I heard your ex-husband, got a baby. He went to court with on Zoom. Start questioning stuff like that. Put her in the hot seat. Same thing with Ashley. Oh, Ashley, you still dating a young dude? What happened to that dude at that reality show that you was supposed to be dating? The guy from Hotel of Love, or whatever it was, her and Giselle was on. Start getting into their business. How much did you actually get out of the divorce? Oh, is the house paid for? How much he paying for child support? Get in their business. Do to them what they do to you. Ashley and Giselle talking about, I just don't like liars. I want people to be truthful. Ashley, you never even talked about your marriage. So we don't know if you was lying or telling the truth at any point because you threw everybody off. You never said anything. Don't let them do to you what they don't want done to themselves. That's just how I feel about it. All right. Um, and somewhere along the line at the end of the episode, of course, they bring in Stacey allegedly was trying to hit up um Chris Samuels. They met with Karen's best friend, and she was telling him how Karen was doing. They was trying to dig for information there, but she cut him off short. If you notice, every time they asked a little bit about Karen or Ray and her daughter Raven, she would cut him off. They're doing fine. He's doing good. He's playing golf. She wouldn't give him much, and I appreciate that. Is she going to get out soon? But we'll see. I give her that. Now that's what you call a down friend. She wasn't spilling beans on nothing. But what I did appreciate about her was she was going to ride and die for Karen, regardless of what they say, regardless if the camera was there, regardless how much they were trying to push her for information. She was not giving them any information. That much I appreciate. Right. So after that, she said, I got a text. She looks at the text and it's somebody telling her it's Chris Samuels looking for her. And then it was like, oh, by the way, I heard Stacey was trying to date Chris Samuels. That's a whole nother storyline. And then in comes Monique come the next episode or two. So that's where we at right now. So we're gonna talk about this Wendy thing real quick. And I will say this. I know I haven't really seen much of Giselle online talking about Wendy. Of course, Ashley and Kiera is eating it up because I guess what did I say? There's an old saying, you can't find happiness making other people miserable. And I'm not saying Wendy didn't bring this stuff on herself, but to sit there and laugh at her when she kick a person when they down is wrong. But hey, it is what it is. She did it, or at least allegedly she was arrested. Allegedly, they have good evidence. So I don't know how that's all gonna go. But Wendy, I'm just so disappointed in Wendy. I have sat here episode after episode and defended Wendy season after season. I thought Wendy was a good person. I thought Wendy was highly intelligent. She got 4 degrees. She reminds us all, I got 4 degrees. And she done said that a zillion times. My husband's an attorney and all of this. And I'm sitting here thinking, how can two people so smart be so stupid? Now, Wendy quit her job. I remember she quit her job. She resigned her tenure. She was selling candles and she was doing some political commentary. And then Eddie was doing the cannabis business, Happy Eddie. Now, I assume Eddie was still doing his law, working as a lawyer and doing this business on the side. Didn't know that was all they had coming in as money wise versus and I guess she got her money from the show, so she has the housewife checks coming in and then Happy Eddie's money, and then I don't know how much money she made off them damn candles, but it seemed like y'all was living a really good lifestyle and the income wasn't matching once you quit these jobs. I don't know why she did it. Because I remember one episode when you start thinking back on some of the episodes, it started to make sense. Because I remember one episode her mother said, am I going to get my allowance every week? Because I remember, I guess she gave her mom some kind of money. And remember, Eddie's family didn't like Wendy's family for whatever reason. And they tried to make it up last year where they had some joint I don't know if it was an anniversary or birthday party or something, but his family and her family came together and they hadn't seen each other in years. So, and that could be why. Maybe his family didn't like her family because they knew she was, maybe a little scammer or known to scam. I don't know. And I'm not going to say that all Nigerians are scammers, but that is kind of a stereotype they have against Nigerians, just like they have stereotypes against, African Americans. We all have to live with it. Um, it's just odd to me because over the years, I have noticed a few of the housewives have started to date, we'll just say Portia, started dating Nigerian guy. What's her name from Married to Medicine? Quad was dating a Nigerian. So this has been becoming a thing in Atlanta where they was all looking for these Nigerian kings or prince or these rich Nigerian people. And I guess, some other states have this going on too. So a lot of people think Nigerians are scammers. Not all, allegedly, not all, just certain people in a certain income bracket. Because I know y'all work just as hard as everybody else. And it's starting to be a trend and it's catching up with people. And for Wendy and Eddie to do that, because they seem like the exception, like they had a tangible income, they had a tangible home, they had tangible degrees, they had a tangible job. So you would say, hey, these guys have legitimate money coming in. Wendy is getting money from the show, and she's also a tenure professor, and she does stuff like CNN and sit on political panels. Eddie's a lawyer, and he's also has a business on the side. I'm not understanding that you wanted to be a celebrity that bad that you gave up all of your legitimate business to do this stuff. And when the money wasn't evening out or catching up, you had to go to scamming the insurance company for allegedly attempting to scam for 450,000. I don't know the exact amount you got, but I don't think you got all 150,000. That just didn't make sense to me. But if you look at the first episode, Wendy's in the house remodeling. She want marble all the way up to the ceiling on her fireplace. Were you going to use the money from the insurance fraud for that? It's just it didn't make sense. Wendy was searching for fame instead of sticking to what got her where she was at, and that is being a professor, and that is being on TV as an analyst. And the housewife should have been a side gig because they can fire you from that show at any time. Eddie, I don't know what happened with whether you had a law degree or you practicing law or not practicing law, but the cannabis business shouldn't have been your only shot because, in my opinion, if it is legal to have marijuana is legal in that state, then there's probably a bunch of shops that's selling marijuana or cannabis or THC, whatever it is. So you have to have something special to be making millions off of that shop in order to maintain the lifestyle that you want. So all of that was just starting to look suspect to me. Okay. And I do remember NECA used to be on the show. NECA was all in the comments. My jury is all accounted for. Her and the other girls previous from the show, they just laughing at Wendy. But I remember NECA being there, and for some reason she did not want to get along with NECA. She wanted no parts of NECA, and NECA was Nigerian just like her. I guess they were from different sectors of the culture, but it was weird. Like, God, that's a fellow Nigerian sister. Y'all should be getting along. I didn't personally like NECA because she came in hard, but I think she would have grew on us had Wendy guided her and trained her and showed her how to be on the show. But maybe she didn't want Nick on there because she didn't want Nick exposing her for who she really was. It's all starting to add up now. So Wendy had us food, and this is what I be saying: you never know who to trust on these reality TV shows. You just don't. If you look back on Bravo shows and just the housewives, within just the housewives themselves, from the girl in New York who went to jail for a DWI, Teresa, we all know Teresa was probably one of the first ones to go to jail. The lady out in California for embezzlement, and I think one of their husbands committed suicide or something. Jen Shaw for Ponzi schemes, pyramid schemes. Down there in Atlanta, you got Portia married to a scammer who was in the country illegally. Shamia allegedly her husband is having some tax problems now. This is and this other housewives who had issues. This is really starting to be a trend and a problem with Bravo. And that's why I said in my short, I did a short on Friday when it first broke just to talk about it. But that's what I said. Bravo going forward, and I don't care if it's a Housewives episode or a Down Under episode or whatever. If you are doing a reality TV show and it requires a person to have a certain lifestyle to be on that show or to present a certain lifestyle to be on that show, then please do this. Double check where their funds come from. I mean, you can do a credit check. Most of us who got to get an apartment or job got to do a freaking credit check. Let's keep it a buck. Okay, do a background check, see if their money's legit. If somebody say my husband is from a foreign country, verify a passport or a green card, make sure they're here legally, because this is makes the shows, even though it's going to get viewership because people want to see the scandal, it just makes it look like y'all not doing your job to present to us real stuff. Okay, I would never live like them. I ain't got that kind of money. But it's good to, sit and watch and like, oh, that's really nice. I may learn something or see something I like and may want to do it, or see a vacation spot. Like, I didn't know that. I want to go there and vacation one day. I mean, we kind of live vicariously through some of these people anyway. I'm not ever trying to be a housewife. But when we see the fakery of it all, it takes something away from the essence of the show. That's how I see it. Okay. So going forward, Bravo, please do that. Now, with that being said, Wendy should not lose her spot. I like Dr. Wendy. She should come back with she should be humbled when she come back. Okay? If y'all allow her to come back after the alleged charges go, or she go to jail, probation, I don't know what the case is going to be. Allow her to come back. That is going to be a humbling moment for her. The downside is if Ashley and Giselle's around, they're going to eat her up. And she has to be ready for that. Okay. Now, with Jen Shaw, absolutely not. Because the difference is Jen Shaw was taking people's money, retirement checks, pensions, 401ks, and living this lavish life on TV off of their money. And those people were suffering. Eddie and Wendy have a victimless crime. Even though it was stupid, their only victims are their children and themselves. Jen Shaw had victims all over the country. That's why she was in New York at a federal court. So I don't need to see Jen Shaw back on the show. I didn't mind Luann coming back. Karen Huger needs to be back. I didn't mind Teresa coming back. Their crimes was against only themselves. They harmed themselves. They didn't harm anybody else. Jen Shaw is different from me. I don't need to see her coming back. Bravo. All right. And not that I hate Jen Shaw, but I felt like there's a lot of victims and she should not be rewarded for stealing people's money and leaving them people broke and without their life savings. I felt that was out of line what Jen did. She went a little bit too far, and then to get on TV and flaunt all her designer stuff in her big house, knowing she got it off of these people's backs and their money, that was too much. All right. So I'm just saying, reality TV shows, we got to do better. Now, one thing I will mention, there has been a couple of, I think in New York and in Potomac, you did have a couple of housewives who came on there struggling. And I like that. Out in New York, you have Bethany Frankel. And if anybody remember Bethany Frankel from season one, she was a friend of, I think, Julie, the lady who owned the uh uh textile shop and her husband died. That was her friend. She was pretty much almost homeless. She had a little cheap apartment in New York. Look where she's at now. She worth 100+ million dollars. Okay, so we watched the struggle of Bethany come from nothing to something on the housewife shows. So on those shows, you can come in there with nothing and leave with something if you work your way up. Now, Robin, even though we all, have our issue with Robin Dixon came on that show in an apartment with her husband and her two sons, about to divorce him because he lost all of their fortunes after he left basketball. She said he gave it to some people to invest and they lost the money, but she started with nothing. And they moved from that apartment, and then they got a little townhouse, and they finally got their own house. And then Robin became a realtor, and she started flipping homes, and now she has a podcast. The only thing Robin did wrong is Robin would not give her real life because Juan kept getting into trouble, cheating, different, essay cases. He was coaching here and there, and Robin wouldn't let that air. So she screwed herself out of the Bravo check. She was selling hats and everything. Robin was on her way up, and she's still probably doing good without the Bravo checks because her and Giselle have the podcast. Now, with that being said, Giselle and Ashley are now the forefront of the show. They lead the storylines, they pick the storylines, they clock in, they get the action going, but they don't allow nobody to question them. And the reason they're there by default is because, well, Giselle has always been a top person on the show. Ashley got there by default because first they got rid of Monique. Ashley and Monique was friends. She got on there with the show with Ashley, and Ashley turned on her. Monique's gone. Then Ashley and Candace was friends because they used to model together. Candace gone. And then Ashley was friends with Robin. Robin, Ashley, Robin, and Giselle used to, get together and harass everybody else. Now Robin's gone. And then Karen moved up there. And now Karen's gone. Ashley is there by default. Ashley shouldn't have been on that. Ashley should have been off that show a long time ago. She has zero talent. She need to take her money and learn how to sing. She has zero talent. She never tells anybody her true storylines, but she over there questioning other people. But by default, she is like HBIC. Okay? Her and Giselle. Number one, number two, HBIC, because nobody's left. Okay, you ran Candace off. Y'all got rid of Monique after y'all tormented that girl. Robin basically she self evicted herself by wouldn't not telling the truth. Karen was, she sabotaged herself by, getting a DWI. Hopefully she'll be back. So now you have the leaders of the show, the HBICs, is Giselle and Ashley. Ashley's sitting there loving it because now nobody's bothering her because she's an HBIC. So now when they're talking about Potomac, they run into Ashley and Giselle, Ashley and Giselle. See, and I'm like, Ashley should have never made it this far. Candace should be up there. Monique should be up there. Hell, even Robin. I don't even care for Robin. But how did Ashley get there? Ashley got there by default because she kept quiet, played her role, didn't tell nobody about her business, didn't get in enough trouble to get kicked off the show, and kissed enough behind to stay on the show. We should have seen Ashley gone 2, 3 seasons ago when they had the whole issue with Michael allegedly fondling, touching, or whatever he did to the cast or the crew on that show. That's when she should have been gone. But they kept her there. So Ashley by default is number two HBIC on Potomac. Who'd have thought that 5 years ago? You would have never thought it. So hopefully Monique come back and bring a little drama. I'm glad they brought her back. I hope Candace come back because baby, let me tell you something. If Candace get back there and Monique get back there together and they tag team and make up for their differences, they will eat Giselle and Ashley under. And they would be because they won't have Robin to fight for them anymore. They would eat them. They would eat them alive. And I don't think they want that. So that's just my take on the whole Wendy thing, how Ashley became the HBIC of the show by default because she ain't got no damn business in that spot. And hopefully, Wendy and Eddie work this thing out. It's not looking good though. Bravo. All I'm saying is you got to do a better dang on job and who you cast on these damn shows. This is ridiculous. And with that being said, this is Generation X Nation. I appreciate y'all sitting here working it out with me. I don't do videos, this long normally. I try to keep them short, but I just had to get lost up out about this Real Housewives of Potomac. Next week, a different show. Again, as you all know, I do my commentary week to week based on the episode that I see. I do understand the episodes are edited, so I only comment on what I see on the television show. I can't comment on anything behind the scenes that I don't know about. If you like my channel, hey, leave a comment, hit the like button, let somebody know. I'm trying to get these likes up. I'm trying to get this viewership up. I definitely appreciate it. I've been out here grinding and grinding for almost a year now, and I still have a goal to make, and hopefully one day I'll make it. And I will be doing some other reviews. I'm finna go watch Love is Blind. I hear that's a good season this year. I've watched Love and Blind every year. I just don't do a lot of commentary on it, but I hear it's pretty good this year. So again, I'm gonna go in here and see what they got going on. And at the end of the day, don't fake it till you make it is bullshit. Don't fake it till you make it. If you ain't got it, you just ain't got it, and that's okay. Work on getting it. Because you see what happens. Every time these rowdy stars fake it till they make it, they get caught. So let's just stop the fake it till you make it analogy. Because I hear people say it all the time. It's just not worth it. Okay, because faking it till you make it could end your ass up in jail, just like Wendy and Eddie allegedly may end up. At the minimum, they'll be on probation. Eddie may be held to a higher standard because he's a lawyer. He know the law. He should have known better. All right. All right. With that being said, this is your next nation. I appreciate y'all coming on here, listening to me. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Leave a comment. Leave a comment. Come join the Generation X Nation. Leave a question. I'll answer it for you. I appreciate each and every one of y'all who has newly subscribed to my channel. It does not go unnoticed. And with that, y'all go out and have a great rest of your day. This is your next nation. Peace. And I'm out.